ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Holger Kreienbrink. I'm Director of Product Intelligence and Partnerships. I'm in bildingSMART Germany in the advisory board, so this is why I'm here. We're hosting tonight, or we're hosting today and the next day, this implementers group here, and we're very happy to have you here. I will be your host. I will be your, in case you have any questions, I will be your guide to whatever, but we also have Christina here in the corner, so she even is local. She has even more the guts to tell you wherever anything is. Just facilities, toilet is outside on the opposite. You see the coffee room here where we got served. And it's also my pleasure here right now to introduce for 1 minute Csillag, our CEO of Graphisoft, to tell you a warm welcoming.
Also from my side, a warm welcome here in Budapest. We are proud and happy to host you here. And well, that's my only role here. I host you. And in other days, typically I try to manage this company. But we are proud to have you here in Budapest. I hope you have some good time. Like usual, the sun is shining, so hopefully you can see a little bit of the city as well. But yeah, have fun, have productive days and interesting meetings. And if anything happens, these two guys, they find me quick. So let us know if you need more support or we can help. Then we are happy to assist and help. So have a great time here in Budapest, here at the Graphisoft headquarters. And we are happy and proud to have you here. Thanks.
And now it's up to you.
Hello, Daniel. I know you have some meetings, so thank you so much for the intro. Okay, see you around. So my name is Bjørn Stangeland. I've been with buildingSMART for ages, quite a long time, since late 90s. Anyway, so I'm here representing Nemetschek. So this is a co-sponsored event by Graphisoft and Nemetschek. Some of you have not heard so much about Nemetschek. So Nemetschek is basically used to be a financial holding, having a lot of brands. You know many of them. We are here today with 5 brands. We are here with the Rofus. We are here with Graphisoft, of course, Vectorworks, Allplan, and who else would be here? Solibri, of course, Pasi is always here. The thing that is happening with Nemetschek is that we are moving from being just a financial holding company to do more across our brands. That also includes using open standards. That's the glue between our applications. Nemetschek as a group, we have the design and planning division, which I'm representing. That's roughly half of the revenue from the group. The guidance to the investor market this year, for 24 I mean, the public announcement of the results will be 20th of March. But the guidance to the capital market is that it's roughly 1 billion. So then you have roughly what Nemetschek is in terms of software. So in addition to the planning and design division, we have Build, which is Bluebeam and Nevaris and GoCanvas brands. And then we have Operate and Manage, which basically is Spacewell. And then in addition, we have Maxon, which is media and entertainment. So you probably have heard about Maxon and the products, Redshifts and all of that. So that's basically a little bit about Nemetschek Group. We are not only here, we will also be platinum sponsors at the Singapore event in March. So let's say that just Nemetschek is really ramping up its commitment to bildingSMART. And I'm really happy because I've been involved in let's say, the early stages of IFC 5, meaning not involved in that sense, but following it, because we've discussed it at the various summits, in addition to in this implementers General Assembly for Implementers. It used to be Implementer Support Group back in the days. But anyway, I'm really enthusiastic. Internally in Nemetschek, I've been really promoting this as the next big thing. And let's see these days with some hackathons and some hands-on if you either think I'm stupid being so positive about this, or you join me in the hallelujah about IFC5. Anyway, thank you, and let's get the party started.
Oh, so I guess, Leon, it's your task. Yeah. Just in case you're wondering about this statue, I can tell you later on this evening the story why we have Steve Jobs here in front of our building.
Why can't you do it now?
I can also do it now. Okay. It was last century when there was still the Iron Curtain. There was this wonderful company founded in 1982, and then they created the very first. It was a, let's say, a cut system at that time, because the challenge was to. Gabor Boya's company had the challenge to have a power plant planned, and they said, we're not going to do this with 2D lines on paper. And this is why they created a 3D system. That was the birth of Archicad. And then they said, okay, how many power plants are usually built in a country? It's not that much, especially in the eastern part of Europe. And then they decided to go for architecture. And that was when, in 1984, the very first version of Archicad was created. Then we founded Graphisoft Germany, because at that time it wasn't allowed to have a real program coded and compiled in the Eastern Bloc and transferred it to Western. This is why the code was then transferred to Germany, and then it was compiled. So it was very weird times. My former boss also told me stories about having computers in the back of the trunk and then smuggled through the borders. So very weird times. But then there was the CeBIT. I don't know, some of you might remember the fair in Hanover. There was the booth of Apple, and then there were the booths of Graphisoft. And Graphisoft showed on very first Macintosh computers and architecture software. And Steve Jobs had like 30 seconds on his timetable to step by. It turned out to be 30 minutes that he was watching. So this 3D CAD software, 3D BIM at that, no, it wasn't called BIM at that time, but this 3D software on Mac. And out of that, he sponsored Graphisoft with, I read, it was like 50,000 Deutschmarks and 4 computers. And that was the beginning of the friendship between Gabor Boya, our original founder, and Steve Jobs. And then when he died, sadly passed away. So this is when this statue was delivered, or was put here in our garden. So there's still a big friendship. There was a big friendship between the two entrepreneurs.
I think you should say what view Steve Jobs has when he's standing like that. What's he looking over? He's looking over to the Microsoft.
Yeah, with the iPhone 4 in his hand. Like, oh, look at that, Microsoft. So you can even, so a lot of people are taking pictures with that in the background. So you're entitled to do, or you're just invited to do whatever you want. So that's the story of us, and this is why we have a still big Mac heritage, which is like 30% of our users are very, very well addicted to this kind of computers. But now it's up to you. Enough of old storytelling.
All right, thank you again. So my name is Léon van Berlo. I think you all know me. I was the one judging your IFC5 course, so sorry for that for some. Who is here for the first time? Still quite a bit. That's nice. So yeah, as Bjørn already said, this is a long-going meeting. This is actually the 80th meeting we have of the Implementer Support Group, Implementer Assembly, however you want to call it. Unfortunately, I always have to start with some of the boring stuff. Our code of conduct, we're all going to be nice to each other. This is all very informal, so don't worry. And a safe harbor notice. This basically says that we are allowed to speculate. So Nemetschek and Autodesk and a lot of other Trimble, a lot of other companies in the room are publicly trading companies. So normally you're not allowed to speculate on what your product is going to look like, because then people buy on that speculation and then the stock drops. So this is here to say, if you are buying stock of these publicly trading companies and it turns out that what they said in this room was just speculation, it's your own fault. But this does allow us to actually speculate, to think about the future of IFC5, to make sure that that we have the flexibility to explore different directions that might not be the final result. So keep that in mind. This goes for the whole 2 days, and this is really what we need to be allowed to improve and innovate. For those who are not in here yet, we have a WhatsApp group that's usually for where we come together for drinks or morning runs or dinner last night. If you missed it, are you going to? Are you taking your phone to? Okay, then I'll wait. So we have 45 people looking at Dan here, 49 registrations, 45 today. So really looking forward to spend some more time with you outside of this room as well. You got it, Peter?
Yep.
Good.
I did. Thank you.
So recording, there was always a bit of a mix between we record all of the sessions, we record no sessions. We settled on we record some of the sessions. This session is also being recorded. We do an update later. But the hackathon itself and all of the speculation that we want you to do, that's not being recorded. So yeah, again, feel free to. So again, what is this? This used to be called the Implementer Support Group. This is the 80th time. It's almost always face-to-face, hosted by implementers, by vendors. Next one is at Esri, California. And then in spring 2026, we're still looking for a location. So if anyone's interested, let us know. This meeting is always like 4 to 6 weeks before the summit on purpose. And usually when the summit is outside of Europe, the implementer assembly is inside of Europe and the other way around. So Singapore summit is in March. So now we're in Europe. In the spring of 2026, we have the summit probably in Porto. So we're looking for a location outside of Europe again. Then, quickly, Implementer Assembly. Why did the name change from Implementer Support Group to Implementer Assembly or General Assembly of Implementers? This used to be an IFC Implementer Support Group because IFC was the only thing that bildingSMART does. But these days, there's a lot of stuff going on. We have a validation service, we have a software certification team, there's IDS, BCF, API development, there's IFC 5 now, which is completely different. And there's a lot of overlap between these topics. There's a massive overlap between bSDD and IDS. The IDS and BCF integration in IFC 5 is also a topic of discussion. So while these individual teams are really good at developing their individual tasks, we kind of feel we need to force them to come together twice a year. So that's what this is. The individual topics are here to be presented, to find overlap, and to make sure that the different interfaces actually work. So that's setting the scene for what this is. Like I said, it's usually pretty informal. There's also a lot of time to talk to each other, to get to know each other. So let's actually start doing that. There's quite a couple of new people, so let's do some introductions. No. Traditionally, we start with Evandro. He's again in front of the room today, so.
Always make the mistake of sitting in the first corner, first row. Okay. Morning, everybody. My name is Evandro. I'm with bildingSMART. I'm Italian, as you can probably tell, living in the Netherlands. Coffee story. Yeah, to me, this meeting is already a success because this is a nice crowd, 45, 50 people. Really looking forward for what you're going to do in the next 2 days.
Hello, Pasi Paasiala from Finland, from Solibri. Well, I think this is success when we have at least an idea of a better schema.
Yes, hello, my name is Anhel Velez. I'm based out of Boston, and and working on Revit. Success for me is, well, actually, I'm really just quite curious to see what's going to happen in this hackathon. So really anything at all is success for me, so let's see.
Hello, Peter Bonsma from RDF, Bulgaria. I think this is success when I think it's already great to see so many people we know, and when I understand better IFC 5 and the future.
I'm Dennis Sheldon from Rensselaer Polytech. Nice to meet you.
Hi everyone, Dan Little from buildingSMART International.
Maybe I didn't say it, but I'm from Norway. And success. If someone else will share my enthusiasm about IFC5, I think it will be a success.
Hi, well, then it is a success because we do. Artur Tomczak, I'm also with buildingSMART. I'm Polish, living in Norway, and I mainly take care of the bSDD and are involved in the IDS project. But yeah, looking forward to hear what you think about IFC5.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Yuki. So I worked for one construction startup as a chief technical officer. So I love bSDD and IFC5. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Jeroen Lammertink. I work for Cubus, known from the Zoom product. And I guess we are successful when we prevent errors in the future when building.
Yeah, I'm Jan Brouwer from Volker Wessels, and what's the success? Yeah, meeting all these people and see if we can improve something. Yeah, to IFC5, that would be cool. If
Hello, Tom, also Cubus, Netherlands. Happy to be here. For me, this is a success if my mom could write a IFC5 importer. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Thomas, also from Cubus. First time here, so just so happy to be here and nice to see everyone here.
Hi, I'm Ruben from Brixis, from Belgium. And yeah, this would be a success if I could get some more understanding of IFC5 and how to align it with different workflows.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Thomas Liebig, Germany. Maybe the older ones knows me. I was co-leading probably the first 65 of the 80 ISG meetings. Yeah, success. Yeah, if I get a clearer picture where IFC is leading towards in future. I know the past and now I want to see the future.
Eugene Wang, buildingSMART. Chinese based in France at Paris. I'm working around bSDD with Arthur, and the success is see all those interests around IFC5 is already a success for me. Thank you.
My name is Wojtek. I'm from Kreox. I'm from Poland, and for me, success would be if I could talk to some of you and meet you. So.
Okay, hello, my name is Greg, and I am from Consolis, so the fabrication of concrete, precast concrete. And for me, that event will be a success if I will get a bigger picture about the interconnections, about those of common surfaces between the IFC5, bSDD, all of that stuff, and also to meet all of you, because I think that that will be a great event.
Hello, I'm Joost Reewaard. I'm Dutch, work for Bedrock, which is building open source software for geotechnical data. And I'm really looking forward to discussing how GIS and CAD data can be put together.
Hi, I'm Stefano Coletto from Microsoft, Italy. For me, it's a success to be here, to learn and to share information about IFC4, IFC5.
Hello, I'm Massimiliano from Italy. A success for me is understand the evolution of IFC and to make a good implementation in our solution.
Hello, I'm Joseph Ciclodi, Graphisoft. Success for me is if IFC5 is much more efficient than the older versions and it's easier to work with. So let's hope we work on that.
Hi, I am Laszlo from Graphisoft Hungary, and I'm happy to hear.
Hi, Balázs Műszégető. I'm originally from Hungary. I've been living in Norway for some time, working for Drofus, and first time here, so looking forward for the event.
Hi, I'm Patrick, Polish, living in Germany, working in Switzerland at CRB. It's already a success for me because I get to know each other, I get to know you, all of you, and I get to know IFC5.
Hello, everyone. Michelangelo from Software, Italy. I don't know, maybe I think a success can be if when we will leave from here, things regarding IFC5 will be a little bit, maybe just a little bit better than what they are before we come here. So.
Hey, my name is Akush. I'm local, born and raised here, so it's a success already that you are here and welcome in my hometown. Not that I'm organizing, but still, I'm glad to have you here. I can be your guide, so follow me after the dinner and reach out to me if you want to learn some crosswords.
Hey everyone, I'm Clive. I'm a Brit. I'm based in the US, and it feels like coming home because this is where it started 20 years ago when we were part of the Vico group at Graphisoft, and there's a whole story with Trimble and everything else. But success for me, having a local guide, will be turning up tomorrow morning early.
I'm Sergey Vishnevetsky from Open Design Alliance, living in Netherlands now, and looking forward to add IFC5 support to our product line. So, and glad to see you all here.
Neil Peterson, Open Design Alliance. I'm American, but living part-time in Turkey. Success for me, just connecting with people here, discussions, and seeing the direction IFC5.
Hello everyone, my name is Thiago, Brazilian based in London. Success for me it would be having our users happy with the implementation of IFC5.
Hi, Juha Laukala from Finland, working for Trimble. I'm happy when these guys are happy, so our products are happy.
Yeah, hello, Jan Erik Hoel, also a happy guy from Trimble, Norway. Looking forward to learn all about IFC5, where it is and where it's heading, and maybe also give some comments, opinions about the future.
Hello, I'm Veronika Krauskova. I'm from Slovakia and I'm working for Alplan, and I'm interested in what is going to happen here.
Hello, I'm Marek Urban from Bratislava, Slovakia, also from Alplan, and looking forward to see you all.
I already said I'm German, so I live in Munich, so in case we're going to have the implementers group in Munich, I expect it to be end of September, beginning of October. That's always good. For me, success is to get to know you, to get a view on IFC5 and what is an outcome for potential user benefits. And simpler character, I guess, is on your menu.
Hi, my name is David de Koning. I work with Arab in our Oasis software group. I'm based in Montreal. I'm the head of product for our structural and geotechnical suite. And I'm looking forward to discussing IFC5, discussing the future, and moving it forward.
Hi, I'm Mishu. I work for Vectorworks. They have a team which is based in Bulgaria, so I'm from Bulgaria. And the success for me is that you see that so many people are interested in IFC5. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karl. I'm living in Vienna, and I'm a certified trainer from Austria, and I wanted to see what I'm doing in the next years.
Hi, I'm Helga Tausche, University of Applied Sciences in Dresden, Germany. And success for me is if I can try something out that helps clarify the direction of IFC5.
Thomas Krijnen, from the Netherlands, also happy to be here. I'll bring back the mic.
So how many people speak Dutch? And how many actually traveled here from the Netherlands? Because that's a different slicing of the pie, right? This is weird. And who has a different nationality than the country they live in? Also, really a lot. I guess if you work on standardization, you have to see other perspectives from other people as well. So good to have you. All right. So again, for Peter, the WhatsApp group, you got it right? Yeah. Let's go over the agenda. So Usually the agenda is has a very similar structure. We do some updates, we have some discussions about topics that are. We have a new person. We just finished introduction, so you're right on time.
Okay, sorry guys, I got lost here in the park. My name is Elias Magalhães. I'm Brazilian, and I work for a company, a research company in Brazil, and we work with oil and gas. So we developed a CDE and some stuff for Petrobras, the oil company, the greatest Brazilian company, and that's it.
Thank you. Good to have you here. So yeah, I was telling you about the agenda. Usually has a normal structure because, like I said, there's a lot of things that are really related. IDSB is the probably the strongest relationship, but also the APIs, the validation and the certification. So we usually go over it, and you would see the connections, and then we do a deep dive into the topics that are of interest at that time. As you see on the agenda, and probably the reason why you're all here, the topic of interest this time is IFC5. But we still have a bit of these updates. So status updates about everything. I'll be going over that in the next, how much time do I have left? Half an hour, 15 minutes. And then we have some quick updates from Artur, Yusheng, and Evandro. Then we have a break, and then after that, the IFC5 part starts. So the reason you're here is probably mainly for the hackathon. So there's a lot of this interaction, and we really need your input. There is a bit of this just talking and education part. And I always have this cheeky picture of a steering wheel for those who were at Trimble 6 months ago. You know, I tried to have an AI-generated better picture of representing you taking the steering wheel. That didn't really work out. But the point is, this is where you, as the vendors, most of you strategic advisory council of bildingSMART, definitely all of you very knowledgeable on this topic. This is your opportunity to also take the steering wheel and point bildingSMART into the direction where we need to go in the future. So if you're here to learn about how the future looks, it's you who are going to shape this in the next couple of days. So keep that in mind. So far, any comments, questions? All right. Then we're moving into the traditional rapid fire part where I do one slide of everything. If there are any questions here about topics that are not on your agenda, shout, raise your hand, we'll cover them immediately. So don't worry to interrupt. IFC 4.3, who implemented it? Not too bad. So as you all know, it's ISO approved for a while already. Published in April 2024. There are some minor additional classifications, some updates to the documentation. So we have 2 publications, the official ISO one and an updated one with more examples, more clarifications. That is progressing almost live. And we expect the software certification, verification, how should I call this, Evandro? Certification, verification? Not certification, the software thing to start soonish. Translations of IFC are also progressing. I'm not sure if most of you are aware, but we have translations.buildingSMART.org where you have all of the IFC terms and definitions. Everyone can suggest a translation. Then when there's a translation for a term or definition suggested, the chapters are going to proofread it. When they approve it, it is automatically published as a translation in the system. If you want to know more about it, ask Jan, because he has nightmares from it. The next step that we're going to do is to also have these definitions, these translated definitions, integrated in the IFC documentation. So as you see here, the definition of IFC wall has a Polish translation and a German translation. So everyone who looks at, it's also a tradition that I cough at these meetings, right? So this is looking at Thomas here in the back. This is kind of in the works. It needs a final review before publication, right? Very close, right? 4.4. So this is a bit of a contentious topic, but IFC 4.4 was mainly an update from the tunnel project. The tunnel contribution was, I would say, a bit disappointing. We're currently looking at adding the tunnel additions, the classes and the properties in bSDD, see how far we can get there. The big topic here is compatibility with 4.3. There's 2 tracks here. Thank you so much. This compatibility with 4.3 has 2 legs. One is the actual ISO compliance, which is a bit of a moving target, and the other one is just like implementer backwards compatibility that makes sense and doesn't put a lot of costs into supporting 4.4. So at the moment, because tunnel is a bit of a lower update than we expected, the justification for 4.4 still needs to be found. Any questions on this one? All right. Then IFC 5. As you know, next couple of days, it's all about IFC 5, but just as a quick overview, there's quite some buzz on LinkedIn and at the summit. I have board members that are even more enthusiastic than Bjørn is. But that doesn't mean that it's done and ready and available in a couple of weeks. So also this meeting is crucial to move forward. Officially, we're still in the exploration phase. So we have a lot of these buildingSMART processes. There are ISO processes. Officially, we haven't even started any of those processes yet. So this is still safe harbor statement, exploring, speculating. I would say it's a lot more mature than a normal speculation exploration phase. It's really getting some flesh on the bones already, but officially from a procedural perspective, we're still exploring. I would really like to start the official ISO procedure, which means the timer starts and we need to deliver within 3 years. But Thomas doesn't, so so there's still a bit of a discussion going on here. As you know, because there's a lot of buzz on LinkedIn, there's also a lot of worries and other kinds of speculation. So that's why we make this course that we forced you to do as well. I'm sorry for that again, but I think it's a nice course to really point out that no, you're not going to exchange other people's data. No, indeed, it's not based on STEP anymore. Really to lay down the facts in a course that takes people on average between 2.5 to 4.5, 5 hours. So I think that works very well as well. We have over 1,000 people participating in the course at the moment, and you already see them also providing the facts back on LinkedIn again. And as you know, there's still a lot missing also in the core, so there's some work to do in the next couple of days. IDS, we have a bit more of a fuller update today from Artur. This has been published as a final buildingSMART standard last year. We have a minor 1.1 update that is fully backwards compatible in the works. Long term, we see that IDS could be integrated in this new IFCX format. Same for BCF, by the way, but that's really a long-term perspective. Is there any interest in IDS certification, software certification from this group? Good. You can skip that. Outside of this group, there is some interest. So we need to manage that as well. BCF, Documents API, Properties API, that's kind of the group that Pasi is leading, so that's all going very well. Ask Pasi. bSDD, also a bigger update later, I think a 10-minute update from Artur. There's a lot of continuous development going on there, and indeed the topic of IFC5 also has an impact again on bSDD. The IDS publication in bSDD is a topic that is currently under discussion, and also the translations are obviously being published in bSDD as well. it's quite a growing use. I think Artur is going to show some metrics, right, as well, with how many data we have in there and what the actual use is. UCM up and running. Yeah, it's not really a part of this group. It's not really a part of the technical team. It's more like a user-driven community. Who has used it? The use case management system? No? All right, let's move on to the next one. Validation service underwent some really very good and fundamental changes. It has quite an improved performance. Most requested feature is an API. I think we're working on that. I'm not allowed to tell you that we have it, because then you want to test it, and Evandro gets nervous. But that's also in the works in the background. And this is also going to be the basis for these metrics for software not certification thing that Evandro is going to update you on as well. See, so the IFC software something. You're going to touch on this later on, right? Yeah. So there's we're not going to certify anymore on these individual use cases, individual MVDs, but really verifying on actual IFC compliance. There's a new import certification coming as well. We have the scorecards. They look really cool. They're not publicly published yet, but they're available on request for anyone who wants to see them. I do expect a lot of educational content coming here as well, because the name and what certification actually means, because we're switching to these scorecards now and really data-driven verification. I think we need to educate our industry as well that asking for the use of certified software in contracts is really not a smart thing to do. So this webinar, blog posts, educational parts is going to be a priority for us in the coming months. Translations, again, ask Jan. He has nightmares from it. But this is an up and running system for quite a while already. It's really focused on allowing everyone to kind of crowdsource the translations, proofread by chapters. So we really hope that this is progressing into a more dynamic, live progression of the translations. There's also an idea to publish a new technical roadmap. The previous one was published in April 5 years ago, and it had a lifespan of 5 years. I think we managed to cover almost all of the topics in that roadmap quite good. But it really is time for a new technical roadmap as well. As you already noticed, we've got IFC 5 now kind of moving into a certain direction that seems to be stable. But that has consequences for bSDD, it has consequences for IDS and BCF, it has consequences for the API portfolio. So I think it would be nice to have an updated roadmap for the next 5 years on these integration topics. Aiming for an agenda, aiming for an update on the technical roadmap in Q2, but you know, right, bildingSMART timelines, this could mean Q2 in any year. So let's see how that goes. So lots going on, lots of time to discuss this as well during the breaks and the dinner. If there's any questions or concerns, just feel free to reach out to me or to anyone else.
Thank you. I will save some time, so we have more time for IFC 5 later, because you also said already many of the things that we have planned. But anyway, as Léon already said, these 2 days will be mainly about IFC, so we'll briefly cover IDS and bSDD. If you are interested in the details, I think we can use the time during the breaks in the evening or during the hackathon to discuss it. So reach out to me and Yusheng. We can help you with this. So starting with IDS updates since the last assembly 6 months ago. Not that much happened, but maybe that's because we already released IDS 1.0 last year. We have growing user base, and it's quite positive feedback that we receive. But in November, we sent this official email to everybody in the working group. If you have received it, good. If you haven't, but would like to be informed about IDS working group activities, you can go to the website and find the link, or you can also ask me, I can add you to the group. Basically, this is like an implementer working group where we discuss certain decisions to be made. We consult with you on some of those technical issues that we have on GitHub and so on. And our primary working place is GitHub, where we have currently, I think, close to 70 open issues that we are trying to resolve. Some of them are related to the existing IDS 1.0. Some of them are already ideas for IDS update that will be probably IDS 1.1. Or if there are more, let's say, breaking changes, we might add them in the future when we already know what will be the synergy between IDS and IFC 5. So, yes, again, if you are not in the group but would like to join, please reach out. When it comes to IDS timeline, we did say we would plan to have this 1.1 update early this year. I think we have to postpone it a bit because we had other priorities, like Léon already mentioned. But it's coming hopefully this year. And if there is interest, we will start the certification soon as well. So yeah, as I said, we now focus when it comes to IDS on completing the pending issues for 1.0, starting the 1.1 work, having irregular working group meetings to consult certain open issues, and add IDS audit to the validation service at some point, because right now audit tool is a separate piece of code, open source, fully functioning. It is already implemented in some of your solutions, as I know, and also there is a website from Claudio Benghi where you can try the audit tool online. And this will be okay. I think we can focus on this when we meet in the 6 months from now, the certification. And that's about IDS. bSDD, for those of you who are new to our solutions, is our service. It's not a standard. It's a service for distributing data dictionaries, so mainly terminology that we use in our industry, the semantics. And bSDD will, I'll also go through it very quickly. If you are interested in the usage of bSDD, those are the statistics. You probably don't see the details, but yeah, this is last 30 days. So we have approximately 600-700 unique users a day, and around 7 million requests to the server every month. And we have around 16,000 users, but it's not over a month, but 3 months. So this is tricky. But we don't ask people to log in. So this is only based on IPs, and it's probably not very precise. But what it means is that it's growing. So last time we met, it was 30% less. So it continues to grow, and we have more and more people actually using bSDD on actual projects. And when it comes to the content of our database, at the moment we have 273 dictionaries. Some of them are very popular, like IFC 4.3, Uniclass, eTeam. We have many national dictionaries right now, and more of them are being uploaded every week. So this is definitely being used. When it comes to the objectives for this year, we will focus mainly on making it more easy for the users. So there are not many technical changes coming, except for those that will be closely related to IFC 5 decisions. But we plan to focus on having more explainer videos, tutorials, articles about bSDD. We plan to have, we already are quite close to having this official verification procedure where buildingSMART will review the content so that it can get a badge saying this content is good quality. And we have a slide on this in a moment. We'll focus on improving our own content because, we should be leading this, but we are still behind, and the content of IFC 4.3 dictionary is still work in progress. That's mainly because we have still a lot of the decisions to be made around this. Mainly they are blocked by the translation process because we have at the moment 20 or more groups actively working on translations. So whenever we want to plan like a small change, like changing, let's say, what should be the semantic definition of an object taken from the standard, we need to still update all of the translation teams so that this work is coordinated. And once we are done with this, we hope to start also adding IFC 5 draft version of dictionaries, but this is probably later this year, not anytime soon. I think we'll discuss this in detail throughout the days, so I will not spend much time. We are adding user profiles to the search page so that we can first have better metrics who is using it, but also so that people can use this private dictionary functionality. If you haven't heard of this, probably because this is not your interest, but if you want to know more, we can talk about it during the break. And yeah, a word about the verification procedure, which is mainly for those who want to publish content in bSDD, not to implement bSDD API. But we have this few levels of verification. So we first verify if a company is legit. Then every time there is a new upload, we verify if the content complies with our data model. And then we also have this more passive verification. If somebody requests there is an error, we take action. And we are now talking about adding this additional level of verification where we will be reviewing content on demand. If somebody wants to be verified, we'll follow the procedure for verification, which is already defined. We have a list of the things we want to check in every data dictionary to pass this official procedure. But I don't want to spend too much time on bSDD unless you have questions about IDS or bSDD. How many customers are using private? Good question. So since this is quite a new feature, and it's a paid feature, if somebody wants to use bSDD but don't share with the whole community, they have to pay for having this access. We have right now around 30 companies, but most of them are still experimenting. So they are not rolling out this on major projects. They are still having like a small experimental projects. But yeah, around 30 companies. Yes? Can you explain a bit more about it? bSDD or private? Private. Okay, so bSDD in general is a database that anybody can access. We have open API, so any software can read the content. But we heard from a couple of clients that they want to have the same functionality. So they want, for example, to easily have a list of classes and properties available in the software so that they can easily classify the model. But they don't want to share the definitions that they are using on a project. For example, they have cost codes that they need to assign to every object. Yeah, based on this, they do the cost estimation. And this is the proprietary list, so they don't want to share it with the competition, but they still want to benefit from the amazing technology that we have. So yeah, this is what private dictionaries are for. Of course, there are many other use cases, such as some of the standards are not open access, so you have to pay to access the classification system. And yeah, normally they are selling a PDF. With this, they are selling direct access to the API. Sorry, not to the API, but to the content of a standard. So it's one way to sell those standards. And of course, there are more. Like if you have a, I don't know, national security project where you also use classification systems, but not the public ones, this is where private dictionaries are useful. But I would say this is, I don't know, 2% of the users of bSDD are interested in this, so not that popular, and I don't expect to have more of them. Clive?
You mentioned on the slide prior that there was an update to the uniclass. Yes. Is that something that you're driving?
So basically, bSDD is a service that is open to any organization, so any organization can publish the content as long as it complies with the, let's say, objective of bSDD. When it comes to uniclass, it was published, 4 years ago, and it's not up to date. And it's owned by NBS organization. So we will not make it for them, we will not publish for them. They have to want to do it first. But right now, the version that they have in bSDD is a bit outdated, so I want to go back to them and ask to publish the latest version of uniclass. But it won't be us who is doing the work, but we can help them as well. So we have a couple of those main big classification systems, like in Europe we have CCI and eTeam. There are others like eClass, uniclass that are used in the industry. We want to have all of them published in bSDD updated versions.
That's a great goal. I suppose it's like how to do that, because it's what. Yeah.
Well,
we get a lot of people saying it's not up to date.
Exactly.
And we go, well, go back to MBS, and
Yeah.
MBS don't really care.
Yeah, we had discussion. They want to do it. It was just not the priority. I want to go back to them saying, hey, we have more and more users. They are asking about this, and we can help them upload the latest version. But they last time we spoke, without disclosing much details, they wanted to do it like holistically and have all of the relations to IFC, and it was very good idea. But I think it's better to upload what they have right now and maybe incrementally improve it over time than wait for years. Okay.
Agreed.
Any other question on ideas or bSDD? Okay. Is it a question? No. In that case, Evandro, I will hand over to you.
Okay. So this quick update is on the validation service and the software nut certifications. This is what happens when you update the slides last night and Leon doesn't download it. But anyway, we are now, the validation service is now in version 0.6.10. And we are planning to release 0.7 next week. We'll come with a set of new rules and a new feature which is about the header policy check. So you will understand this in a minute when I talk about the software certification. But in terms of maturity, at the moment with the current version, this is how maturity looks like for the validation service. The syntax and schema, we feel they are complete. We have roughly 50 rules, normative rules, so things that are written inside the documentation, inside the IFC standards, and for which we enforce a check. We feel we are 60% done, more than half, but still some rules to be developed. And also best practices, which are rules that don't make your IFC file invalid, to keep it simple. So things that we observe in files and we check and we provide the users with warnings. So again, these are warnings, these are not hard errors, and are not taken into account for the validity of an IFC files. If you want to know more about the IFC validation service, because I think I realized I started without saying what a validation service is. So those of you that are new are probably missing a bit of a background. So if you scan this QR code, you get redirected to a new page of the validation service where we explain what it is and what it does. There is a nice FAQ at the bottom of the page, which I usually expand every time I get the same email twice. But if you think there's anything missing in that FAQ, just let me know, and I'm happy to expand that part. Any questions on the validation service? Yes.
Maybe it's in the FAQ, but what's the, like, do you keep these files around? Do you keep these files around? Like, if I have a customer, can I just give their IFC to your service and have some kind of a security that it's not going to be shared or lost or, you know, whatever?
Yeah, good question. It's indeed part of the FAQ, so I don't want to just go back to the FAQ for the exact numbers of months or weeks, but basically there is a retention policy after which we delete the files, because all that it matters to us for the validation service and for the purpose of the scorecards, you will see that, is the actual outcomes. So in our database we store the outcomes, which are fully anonymized and just the results on the different entities and classes, failing, passings, and those are essential for us. The file we could delete it after seconds. Actually, some users also suggested this feature to allow users to upload a file, get the results, and immediately delete that. And for us, it doesn't really matter, because as long as the validation completed, we have all we needed, and we can delete files. But yeah, refer to the FAQ for the exact amounts of months. Can't remember.
Much better. Yes.
I have two questions. First, is there any standards for validation, so like a standard for the process and a standard for receiving the files and sending the files? Is the first one. And the second is this service will be just one services for every validation, or is there a way to how can I say that, to use our own validation on the server?
Okay, thanks for the questions. I see 6 or 7 questions in these. So I'll try to answer some of them, but please reach out to me. I think I need to expand on most of those questions. So let me take a step back and provide a bit of context what a validation service is. Validation service is an online platform. It's developed by buildingSMART and checks the IFC files uploaded by users against the IFC standards. Okay, so it checks the syntax of an IFC file, it checks the schema of an IFC file, and then some other rules that we call normative rules, which are simply text written in the 8,000 pages of the documentation that simply people overlook or forget. And we enforce these checks using a technology called gherkin, okay, which is a Python implementation of behave, given when then paradigma. But to make things simple, no, we're not using any standard. We're relying on this technology. We are relying on an open source library as IFC OpenShell to parse the file, check the schema, check the syntax. But yeah, I wouldn't call that a standard. So that's the technology that we use. I can expand on that if you wish. And then when it comes to how to use or other entities using the validation service, if I got the question correctly, one of the biggest value of the validation service, and probably I should have a slide on the purpose of the validation service, was that you, the implementers and the users, requested buildingSMART to develop something to judge the IFC files, in this case the IFC files that are exported. So to provide a third party, above all, judgment, which works only when it comes from buildingSMART and buildingSMART only. So when there are derivatives or other people using the same technology, potentially tweaking that or extending that or changing the rules, the level of trust drops. So validation service is a free open source initiative for people to contribute and extend the rules, because you saw we have 46 rules, maybe we can get to 50, 60 with the help of the community, but it's essential that the validation service remains centrally hosted and operated by buildingSMART. So that doesn't mean that you can use the same, again, it's open source, so in theory and also in practice, you can take the technology, deploy it locally, extend it, do everything you want. You simply don't, you need to be careful not to infringe the copyright and trademark laws. Okay, so you cannot call it IFC validation service, you cannot use the buildingSMART logo, you can call it my cool validation system, extend a couple of rules, you're more than welcome to do that. It's open source, we can control it. It's under MIT license, so it's pretty flexible. Did I answer parts of your questions? Okay, happy to expand at coffee. We generated 2 more questions.
Is it possible to add an option if the file, for some reason, has some failure, if the user wants to share with the implementer? If it's possible to do that, like I am in user, I submit, the file fails, I'm implementer, I want to fix that, but I need to know that if the user wants to share the results with us, if they could like send the file or at least like the parts of the file that failed, it would really help us to identify this kind of stuff and fix the problem.
Yeah, possible, of course. At the moment, the terms and conditions prevents us to do that. Okay, so if we do that, we need to change the terms and conditions to allow for this possibility. I think we're finding a middle ground when we go to the software certification, because at the moment the terms and conditions says buildingSMART is not allowed to share this file with anyone, only purpose for the validation service. But when it comes to the scorecard service where we collect and judge, we are already in the situation where we get files that potentially generates an error and let's say a red or a bad score of a software. But before publishing that, we have this investigation period in which we will go back to the user, ask the permission to share the file. So at the moment, we're considering doing that on a file-by-file basis only when those files generate an error. I have the feeling that this is not scalable, but this is part of the experiment that we are doing with the scorecard service prototype. We want to see how many times we would have to intervene in that case. And maybe if we suffer a lot from these, we can automate this process by, for example, a flag when the users upload the files that says, hey, as per the updated terms and conditions, when the file fails, buildingSMART is allowed to share the files with vendors. I would say possible.
That would help a lot.
Yeah, it also helps us avoid checking 1,000 files.
Thank you.
So a question. So this is to also help. Well, you have a IFC file provided by some user using some application, sending that to some other user using a different application. And the question is, it's not working. Why? And then you validate it. So my question would be, is there any plans to expand this with a purpose, like IDS-driven or something? Because it's not necessarily that the file is 100% correct according to the schema, but is the data you expect to find there in there or not? That will be defined by the purpose of the exchange. Any plans?
Very good question, which helps me to stress the boundaries and the mandate of the validation service. So the validation service, I always use this strange analogy. The validation service checks the IFC file as if it was a book. Okay, we check that it has a cover, a title, a name, pages are in order, the grammar is fine. If the story sucks, still a book, right? So we check that the IFC file is a legitimate IFC file, information are structured correctly so that other applications can consume them. Then, when they consume them and opened up, they don't make sense to the users because they're missing properties, something is missing on the content side. This is where the mandate of the validation service ends. So when it's about plans, the plans are clear because you guys told us that we should not compete with you, basically. So there are tools commercially available, developed by you guys, that are doing these, that are creating IDS and checking IDS for looking into the content of the file, like the design itself. And this is out of scope for the validation service. I dare to say forever. Make sense?
It's an answer, thank you.
Yeah. Gives you the freedom. This is buildingSMART. We create the rules so you can compete on the game. We don't compete on your game, okay? Scorecard service. What time is it? Okay. This is a slide just to, this is an unreadable slide, just to remind you that the process for getting to the scorecards started more than 3 years ago with some stakeholders interview. We interviewed buildingSMART asked an independent consultant to interview a diverse group of stakeholders around the topic of certification, whatever that means. And we got a nice set of responses that we collected and we used to create a plan in early 2022. And since, I believe in July 22 in Zug, in Switzerland, we had the SAC approving these certification program. And since then, we started developing some solutions that were contributing to this view, to this idea of how to deal with IFC software certification in the coming years. And every time we met in the last General Assembly of Implementer, Boston, California, Paris, you have them all here, we always updated you on the maturities of these solutions. So we started developing the validation service as a mechanism to collect information and data. And now we are complementing this validation service with the so-called scorecard service. sorry, we have a bad tradition for bad naming. So you will see that in a minute, but basically it's another platform that takes the results of the validation service, so those validation outcomes we were discussing before, and filter them, group them, aggregate them, and display them to the users in a way that makes sense, and the way that provides an assessment, a judgment, based on the evidence that we observed on a certain tool of a certain version of a certain company. And yeah, again, it's a long way. We touched base on, I think it was Westminster, the first time that we discussed the criteria that the scorecard service used to collect and aggregate the data. We had a nice meeting on the 16th of December last year in which we presented the prototype. You're going to see some snapshot in a minute to the general IFC implementers forum. And we're now moving into, in 1 week or 2 weeks, we have a meeting discussing the header policy and discussing the digital signature, which is one of the, I would say, coolest feature that the scorecard service and the validation service will rely on. But for you to grasp a little bit this idea, I need to introduce the scorecard service itself. This is not a mock-up anymore. This is actual screenshot of the prototype application. It's another online platform that basically provides an overview of tools and how they perform under different parts of IFC. It's probably too difficult to read. Maybe you can use the side screens. But on the left side, it provides information about the company, the application, so your software, the version of your software, when it was last evaluated, the version of the validation service that was used to evaluate your files, how many files we observed, 40, 50, 2,000, okay? And then provides a traffic light kind of visualizations of how the aggregated results performs in different parts of IFC. So we have 2 big blocks that are for syntax and schema, and then 27 so-called functional parts, so IFC features. You can't probably read that, but costing, georeferencing, object typing, object placement, quantities, properties, these are the different features of IFC. These are the things that IFC allows you to describe. Okay, so we broke them down in 27 parts that we feel speak to the users. Okay, georeferencing, costing, everybody understands what they are. And then we are telling people, hey, when costing information are there in the IFC files that we observe, and they are always valid, you get a green box. When we never observed library references, so in these 216 files of these anonymized company and application, we never observed any library information. So we can confidently say, based on the evidence, we don't believe that these application supports library, or there is no users using that feature and uploading the file to the validation service. It's not the truth, but it's the most transparent and honest picture of the industry. And the red part is similarly on these 216 files, maybe 1 or 2 fail, or all of them failed on a specific thing. So spatial breakdown, for example. So someone is making the spatial decomposition wrong or not according to the standard. Again, not according to the project. The project might require its own spatial breakdown. That's fine. As long as you comply with the standard, that's fine, doesn't matter. So how it works, quite simply, files are uploaded to the validation service. We don't care about the files, we care only about the validation outcomes, and then the validation outcomes are sent to the scorecard service that massages them and put them in a nice way and compile these scorecards. I don't have cool graphics like Artur, but I want to give you a feeling of the use of the validation service and the scorecards. So the validation service is now reaching the 100 uploads, 100 file uploads per day, which is a nice result. Since its inception, we are talking about 1,700 users, more or less. More than 10,000 files observed so far. And so based on this amount of evidence, we were able to provide an aggregated view of the scorecard. So we took the 10,000 files. Of course, these 10,000 are the green part. We excluded these parts, which are the vendors' uploads, the BSI team's uploads, and the duplicate files, which means, of course, that since you guys are using the validation service as a debugging tool for your implementation, you need to do that confidently, that we don't take your files and your test into the assessment. So the same goes for the files that we upload and for duplicate files. So these 10,000 is already, let's say, cleaned up statistical sample. This was in the last 12 months, and the files have been reassessed using the latest version of the validation service. The next steps for the scorecards are discussing the header policy, because now for classifying and assessing your tools, we rely on the header field, which in some cases is a bit of a Wild West. So there is a policy, there is an old policy by buildingSMART how to provide data in the headers, but when it comes to the tool, the company, the software name and the version, it gets a little bit confusing. So we are taking that policy, we are specifying a structure for the tools, naming and versioning, and we are enforcing a check. So one thing is mandating a policy, another thing is enforcing a check. So in a similar fashion, now the validation service with the next release in next week will provide a warning icon whenever information in the headers are not correct. So the scorecard service will use this information to exclude files for which the headers are not compiled correctly. And this is to avoid misjudging you. Because at the moment, I don't have a screenshot, but I can show you the current data in the scorecards. There are a lot of unassigned tools for which we don't know the company. So this is a mitigation feature to be able to better assess your file and qualify and classify your tools. Another feature, essential feature to be able to provide a proper judgment is the digital signature. We have a meeting next week. A couple of you already started or piloted the implementation of these digital features. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but in short, it's a way of signing files so that we know that the file is coming from you. Because we already observed, of course, as you can imagine, some files that have been tampered with. As you know, IFC is an ASCII-based file, so people apparently like to open that in Notepad and tweak the IFC files. But that doesn't look nice when it comes to scoring your results. So to prevent this, we are thinking about the digital signature to sign the file, and upon receival of the IFC file, excuse me, the validation service will be able to assess if the file is authentic, and only those files will be taken into account for the scorecards. So always try to think about the validation service and the scorecards as two complementary things. We will always provide the validation service assessment to the user that is uploading the file, but if we find that the file is not authentic, we not take it into account to the scorecards. Does it make sense? Okay. Then we're gonna talk about the press release procedure. So once the scorecards reaches a statistical significant amount of files and they are all green and gray, for your tool, you guys can request a joint press release to buildingSMART that you can use to say that your tool of this version at this date was compliant with these parts of IFC. So we're going to touch on this in the IFC Implementers Forum meeting. We're going to test the implementers file that you guys have been signing. And then we're going to communicate the launch date for this scorecard service to go public. Of course, at the moment, it's a prototype, it's under development, and it's not public. But the idea is that it will be published, so the scorecards will be published, and everybody will have access to that and can look it up and see how their favorite tool is performing. If you're interested in the digital, in all this discussion, the next of which is the digital signature, then we will go into the header policy, then in the press release. But beginning with the digital signature, we're going to have a meeting on the 13th of February. If you're not registered yet, do that by scanning this QR code. If you're not part of the IFC Implementers Forum, because when we did the introduction, I think I saw some of you that are not in the mailing list of the IFC Implementers Forum, just grab me during coffee and I'll add you in the mailing list. Because those of you that are in the mailing list already received this invitation. I think that was it. Questions? Yeah.
Just a quick one. Do you plan to have any sort of metrics to show kind of how files are doing over time, just generically? You know, hey, this validation service is working. Look, our files are getting greener. Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's possible. At the moment, we're focusing on making sure to attach the right metadata to the outcomes to be able to do these tricks. So at the moment, we're making sure that every judgment is coupled with the right validation service version, with the right tool version, so that we are able to go back and forth in time and maybe provides this insight, like see how this tool performed in the last 5 years, how it improved. Maybe one version was not compliant and then became more and more compliant. I think we will be able to do this type of assessment. There is a new feature that was developed last week for the scorecards, because the scorecards, nobody asked, but the scorecards they're not public. But if you believe that your tool has been judged, which means if you believe that some of your users upload files in the validation service and the results ended up in the scorecard, I cannot give you access to the scorecards yet, because I don't feel at the moment it's right to give everybody access to everybody else's results. But we created a feature to basically download the data. So I can provide you with the scorecards just for your tool. So if you want to know, just, again, grab me at a coffee and give me your email. I will send you the outcomes for your tools.
So is there any intention in the future to have kind of, for example, I could say, okay, well, anything you do with Revit, I'm the contact person. Would there be any sort of registration that you'd say this is a contact person for this set of files? Because that would just make that a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to grab me at a coffee.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Could you pass it back, please? Can I also run this locally, or is it really a service and I have to send it to you for sure?
Same story. So similar to the IFC validation service, now it's under development, so it's a private repository. But as soon as we are confident that it's mature enough, and before publishing it, it will be publicly available in open source, like everything else. You can run it on your machine, and having the results just for yourself. You will be missing the results of all the others, but yeah. Coffee.